Hi guys, welcome to an episode of the Mind and Muse Crafts podcast. It's a different one because I haven't been here for a while, so welcome back and welcome back to me. And if you are an observer, you have noticed that the title of this program today is Stash Busting the Pilot. The pilot episode because I've decided to kind of like take this channel into sort of a new direction in which, well, it's not totally new, but it's going to be the focus from now on. I had been speaking to you on all the episodes from this year, this 2020, that has been a great year for a lot of us in the odd sense of the word. But anyway, I had spoken to you in several of those episodes about my efforts to want to bring down my stash because my stash is just way too much for anybody to leave behind in these, if one were to leave this world, and in these times, I have been thinking a lot about that. So it's not that I have a huge stash, but I have too much of a stash for me to believe that I'll be able to use it in any time soon. So I want to dedicate 100% of what's left of my efforts on this channel to simply bringing that stash down as far as possible. So I am going to try and share this with you. It is another sort of journey in this life, and maybe you all want to share it with me. If not, well, I don't know what to tell you, but that's what this is going to be about from now on. A little bit hoarse today, and I did forget to bring my water, so bear with me here. I am trying to do this as quickly as possible today, even though I haven't been here for a while, because I really do need to get so much other things done. You know, if you are a returning viewer to this channel, thank you for keeping that notify button on and for coming back and be willing to share a little bit more with you. If you are a new timer, if it's your first time here, well, thank you for pressing that watch button and for taking the challenge of going through this, sitting through this with me. So I hope that you've got your beverage of choice with you, that maybe you've got some crochet, so that as you listen to me, you can get a little bit of work done, because we're all about multitasking in these days. We all want to do more things than we can in the amount of time that we have. But anyway, let me catch you up. If you remember, the last time that I was talking to you, I think I was working on this project back here, which is a top, which is a top by Nomad Stitches. It is her sort of like tunic beach top, and it is made in a flower design, and I'll try and put up a picture here so you can get a better view if you don't remember. I just wanted to catch you up on the fact that I finished it, that it is complete. And now I'll never be able to get this back to where it was, but anyway, I just wanted to show a little bit of that to you. And the only thing I need to do is to sew in the ends and to send it to its recipients, which, if you know from past podcasts, was my daughter. And her birthday was, I wanted to send it to her for the summer. I didn't make that mark. I didn't make that mark because I ran out of yarn. I was using Sarasota yarn, if you'll remember, for this. I don't particularly remember if the ball band had a color on it, but I can check that for you. You know, it just says color 10, but it is like I called it my salt and pepper because it's kind of like the grayish tonal. It's a grayish tonal because it's got spots where it goes a little whiter, a little darker gray, and so it kind of looks like a salt and pepper if you ask me. So that was Sarasota, sorry, I said it wrong. Sarasota yarn by Cascade Yarns, and I actually did enjoy the experience of working with it because it is not applied yarn. It is not applied yarn, and it is a mix of 60% cotton and 40% acrylic, but the strands are not plied together. They're I don't know what you would call the technique. Maybe they're woven together to create like a ribbon, a sort of round ribbing or something. But it's great to work with because it doesn't split on you. Not like something else that I am wearing that the yarn splits terribly. But that was an enjoyable make. It wasn't difficult. It was a quick make. I made it in a large because it's for my daughter. She's a bit bigger than I am. But yeah, I would think about making one for me if I were a beach person, or if we ever get to be beach people again. I don't know. Fine. That was one thing that I was working on, and I won't go too much into it because you can look at a past episode if you actually want to. That is part of my stash down because I had that yarn in stash for a while, even though I did have to go back and buy one extra ball of yarn, and you'll see what I'm doing with that, for only just a tiny bit. I really didn't need a lot more. So that was one of the things I was working on. A second thing that I was working on is a top that I am wearing. If you'll remember, this was a top from, I think it was Crochet Now. I'll check it for you in a minute. Let me just leave this on there so I don't make any unwanted noises. I'll check up on my pad here. Magazines. So I received pocket mags, and in that I received several magazines. One of them is Crochet Now. And in this issue of Crochet Now, let's see, they had this garment. Oh, let's see if I can get it up for you. And does it have a name? Add a lace summer top. I guess the designer is Natalia McHayle. I hope I'm not torturing that name. But there it is. And if you remember, it was this sort of blouse that had lacy section made with, what's that called? Solomon's knot? I think it's called Solomon's knot. Yep. And so you can see that my sleeves are totally done in Solomon knot. What I did not do, well, I did. I made this twice. I finished it twice, let's say, because this section here, let me see if you can get this. Okay, I guess this is as good as it's going to get, guys. So this section here, down here at the bottom, it's the second lacy section here. There. I found that after I made it, I didn't like it. I thought it looked kind of cute there. But after I made it, I really didn't like it. And I'll tell you why. If you'll notice her arms, her sleeves, and you'll notice mine. Well, take a look at mine first, and then take a look at hers. And one thing that I had serious doubts about, I looked Solomon's knot several times on the internet to find out how to do it because I was familiar. I had seen this stitch before, but I never practiced it. But anyway, one thing about the Solomon's knot is, in between these lacy stitches, the way you create them is by lifting up your hook away, lifting your loop away from where you actually made the stitch a certain distance. And then you create a knot there. Again, lift up your loop a certain distance and reconnect with the lace. Reconnect with like this net that you're creating. But she explains here how to do that. Draw up a long loop on your hook of about 5 centimeters. And then, well, I did that. And it turns out that my lacy net here, the holes are way bigger than the ones that she has on her top over here. It turned out to be way bigger because, I read somewhere else where they said bring it up 2 centimeters. I read somewhere else where they said bring it up 1 inch. and 5 centimeters, 2 centimeters, and an inch is not the same. So depending how long you bring it up, you're going to have these holes are bigger, and that bottom part there, it was just so much longer than what she had. This bottom part over here was just it just hung down way too far, and I just didn't like the way it looked. So I ripped it all back, and I did do the peplum, but I only did the peplum without the lacy bits. So I'll try and insert a picture here if I remember, how these things go, so you can see, how it is on me now that I actually wash my hair, have it combed, and put on some lipstick, which I haven't put on in ages. So, yes, the yarn that I used for this, if you'll remember, was, again, my ball band is over here, and so I'll get it for you. The yarn over here was Bernat Softee Cotton. Not particularly a favorite of mine. This was a Soft Plum. I did like the color a lot, but not particularly a favorite of mine because this yarn, once you use it does split. It's not plied together, and it just falls apart. It just totally comes apart. It's got a lot of strands, though. It's got maybe 4 or 5 strands, but they totally come apart. So, like ripping back, frogging back, having to frog back that whole lacy section, and then redoing it, it didn't make the yarn unusable because of the fact that these are, double crochet, so it's pulling the yarn together. But I'm pretty sure if I look closely, there are parts where you can see how that yarn just fell apart. So yeah, not my favorite in the sense that because it falls apart, and I don't know how warm it's going to be. My idea is going to be pretty warm, maybe even too warm for me to use on the island, because of the fact that I'm fine now, because as I always tell you, I am in a temperature controlled environment at this moment, but that's not the usual. It doesn't happen. My whole house isn't air conditioned, and I can't walk around in whatever kind of clothes I want. And yet I want to crochet, and I want to create garments, and I want to create sweaters, and I love creating scarves. They all look so pretty, and so I end up making tons of stuff that I really don't use. And so since someone mentioned once that your whips and your whips are part of your stash, at some point I'm going to have to do a destash of that. I don't have many of them, but I do have things, even the finished projects that I never really got around to using, especially now since our travel has been totally prohibited, I guess, and forbidden to us. So yeah, they've just been stocking up inside one of those bags for winter clothes, and I don't know if I'll get a chance to use them. So I've got to give another think to what I make also. But anyway, one of my other makes here, you know that we are coming to the end of our National Latin Heritage Month. I put up a blog post, a small one, short one, on my blog twice this month. Yippee! I was able to do that because I wanted to keep up with something, and I had those plans to design a couple of patterns. I wanted to write up the patterns for a couple of designs and put them on my blog for you guys to use freely. One of them was the Koki wall hanging. That is now up on my blog if you'll go and look for it. And another one was an unplanned. The other one was an unplanned pattern because it was one that Clarissabeth, my daughter from the Crochet Cakes, asked me to design for her. But she asked me to design this, let's see if I can get anywhere you can see, this sort of like pumpkin. Well, she didn't ask me for the pumpkin silhouette. She asked me for the word otoño, which is fall in Spanish, and she wanted to be able to make that into a cushion cover. So I decided to just put it inside that pumpkin silhouette because of the fact that I know that this time of year she really enjoys the pumpkin color, mustard colors, and even the idea of eating pumpkin as a main ingredient or as a side ingredient for many of her recipes. So that was one of the Is it up? I think it's up on my blog also. It's one of the patterns that I have there. You could create a wall hanging with it. You could create, this is not C2C. This is intarsia crochet, if you want to call it that, or yeah, whatever your name for that type of crochet color work is. And it's the idea of you change colors and keep your yarn. Don't cut off your yarn, but change colors and work around your color changes to create. I love it because it all seems like you're painting with yarn to me. So that is up on my blog, and you can create a wall art with it. You can make a cushion cover. You could probably put it on the front of a garment if you would like to do that. Just an idea of maybe having something up around our homes that is in a different language and kind of like showing appreciation for that other culture. I don't know. We really don't have fall here on the island of Puerto Rico, so it's not something that I can share in the sense that I live it with you guys, but I like the idea of it. I like the idea of it. I like the color changes. We notice a lot of changes in our environment for this time of year anyway. The temperature obviously changes, even though we are at the peak of the hurricane season here. Still got a month to go, but well, maybe a little bit less than a month now. But yeah, we can see that the nights get shorter and the mornings start later in the hour, and certain vegetables that are available to us. So we can perceive it, the changes going on around us, although we can't see it as much in the actual color changes of the leaves and all that. Okay, so that was another thing that I worked on that I wasn't planning on. There is one other design, finally. And so I've got this other design here, which is what we call the garita. It's kind of like that lookout house that's on the top of a castle. And we have many of those on the castles that are here around the island. And so I kind of like wanted to create that and put it on a wall hanging. I thought maybe one of my children would like to have that in their home. And the colors are kind of wacky, right? Because this is like the continuation, the wall of the garita. So it should maybe be not that yellow color. Anyway, when I decided to make it, I didn't choose that color anyway. But what happened was, I'll tell you the story. I wanted to start working on this, obviously, for this national celebration of Hispanic heritage. And I wanted to work on that and try and have it up for you. But I ran into a problem. I was using the same yarn that I was using for my Koki wall hanger. I'll get it for you. If you remember, it is this turquoisey, light turquoise colorway. And I started it until I ran out of yarn. Well, I have a small amount left, but it's not going to be enough to make the whole thing. This is one small section of the wall hanging. And I'll try and show you if it allows me to do that. Okay, if this is my wall hanging, yeah, this is my wall hanging. I'll try and put it up a little bit smaller for you so that, maybe I should be on this side, right? I think I should be on this side. Anyway, this is my wall hanging. And what I've done is just this corner right here. I've only done this corner. Oh, what happened? Don't know. Lighting's always wrong for this type of thing, but I've only got this corner over here. And so all of this is done in the same color. It's just no way. So I had two choices. I tried to find it online, and so I had mistakenly put in my Koki pattern that I had used the colorway number 33, which is this, because when I was writing up the pattern, I didn't have the bag next to me, so I looked it up online, and I saw that color, and I thought it was, but this is not the same color. And just in case, I ordered this one, because you'll notice that the pattern has a darker blue sky at some point, so I ordered this one, which is obviously not the same color, because I didn't think it was going to be the same color. I was ordering it to do the other part of it. But, you know, I'm stuck. I'm stuck because I can't find that yarn online. So I could whip this all back. It's just like that one tiny bottom corner of my wall hanger. So you can imagine how big this is going to be. I could rip this all back. Or I don't need to rip it back. I could just start over again. Just, I don't know. Because adding the color here and changing color here didn't look right. So, I'm not going to do that. I am going to think about it, and I'm going to try to keep finding if any of you have used this yarn before. It's very hard to find in the States because it's from Turkey, so you can find it in Europe a lot, but I can't find it here in the States. I did order these from Amazon, but I know they did not come from the States. They took a while to get here. And but I didn't order this other color because, excuse me, they didn't have it. This is 76, I believe. This is 76. It's a much lighter. It's not the blue, the light blue that they have, because they had another light blue. It's a little turquoisey blue. And so it wasn't 33, it wasn't 55, and nowhere can I find the 76. At least on Amazon, where I trust that it'll get here in, you know. Well, I was worried about it, and I don't know why I'm worrying about it anymore. I should just go back and see if I can find it somewhere, because I'm no longer going to make the 15th of October deadline, which is the deadline that I was seeking for. And I still have some time that I could maybe make this into a Christmas present for somebody, and the yarn might get here in time, right? Although elections are coming up and Christmas holiday and all that. Well, I don't know, but anyway, sad story of my life, always trying to make things with the inappropriate amount of yarn, never being able to decide whether I have enough yarn left for a project or not. I just didn't realize how big it was. I was like totally flabbergasted when I realized that I only had that one little corner, because I'm at like 53 squares right now. This is C2C. I really like the fabric that it creates with this yarn. I always like working with this yarn. My experience up to now has been great, so yeah. The original, this one, was a gift from Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet, and I participated in one of her giveaways and I won the yarn. And had I not made the coquille, obviously I would have had enough to make this. And maybe if I had not made the tassels on the coquille, which used a lot of yarn, maybe I don't even think I would have had enough then, because I didn't realize just how much I need in this color. So if you do have or know, I've looked on Ravelry, I've checked so many things, anywhere that I can purchase this or make me exchange, let me know, and definitely I'll get it. Okay, so what else have I been working on? It's also National Hispanic Heritage Month. So Clarissabeth of the Cozy Cottage sorry about that. Clarissabeth of Crochet Cakes podcast has been writing a lot of patterns. She's a fabulous garment designer. I mean, not that she doesn't design other things that are fabulous, but it's just that she likes to do that, and she pays a special attention. Her focus is on garments. And so she was also hosting during this month a Cal on her channel, and maybe I think it's on Ravelry, so that you would pick a pattern from a Latin designer and recreate that pattern. And it's like open up the consciousness that there is, create this consciousness that there are many designers from many cultures, and we each put our own kind of like culture differences into our designs. And so it's a great way to learn new cultures and to learn about the colors that people of different parts of the world prefer, the yarns that they have access to and that they prefer to work with. There's a lot of learning in it. So this month we wanted, between Clarissabeth and I'm joining her in this effort to try and create some consciousness about Latin makers. And I decided to pick one of her designs, kind of like maybe a little bit subjective there, maybe not very objective, but okay, I have a right to be that way, I guess, if I want to. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you and her site here. If you haven't gone there, you're missing out on a wonderful blog area. Crochet cakes. And all of her patterns are here. The duster came out recently, and also the shift dress, where she's now heading towards enjoying recreating vintage patterns in her crochet. And a lot of summer patterns there. She's got blankets and socks. Not the shoes, she didn't design the shoes. Even scarves. And this was a special moment in time where we both decided to create fascinators together. She's done baskets, men's socks. And did I go past the one? Here's the one I'm working on. I'm working on this one that is called A Bobble in Time. I know you couldn't see that name there, but maybe I'm hoping I can open it up and you can see it better. There it is. A Bobble in Time. You know I'm a sucker for names, and for some reason I really like that name. So this is my Bobble in Time up to now, and I'm nowhere near completion on this. I doubt I'll make the 15th date. This is just the beginning of the front. And it's not the front, that's the inside. But this is the beginning of the front panel. It is made in 2 panels, double crochet and bobble stitch. And the idea was to have that like shocking change in color there. It's orange because we're in October, and I don't think I'll have a special episode for Halloween this year. Just things have changed, and my mind isn't in that. I'm not in that mindset this year, and so I wanted to create at least something orange. And yeah, I'm right here. I am at the armhole shaping. And then there'll be some shaping up here at the top, and I'll be finished with that one. The yarn at the bottom is the same yarn that I used for my Taroko. If you were here a while back, it is the Kobasi. Kobasi, and this, it's coming out a lot darker here, probably because my light isn't great. I'm doing this really early in the morning for you guys because I wanted to start my day out the right way, spending some time with you. And so this is deep turquoise. It's color number 10, deep turquoise. And the other yarn is, I don't know why I don't have that ball band inside of this. Not where I put it, but as always, I'll step aside and get it for you. So I've been using this Tweedledee. That's from Lion Brand. It's 75% acrylic and 25% cotton. So it's an acrylic cotton. And I just wanted to try it out. It came in new to one of the stores where I sometimes am able to find some yarns. And they actually sell a lot of fabric and sorts, but not so much yarn. It's a size 3. This is called Ginger. And I purchased it, like I said, because I wanted something orange for Halloween, because I figured I wouldn't be able to do anything too extreme. So an orange blouse. I don't have one, and hopefully I'll be able to use it. I'm working it up in a 4mm crochet hook. It's a little bit different from Clarissa's because the original design, pretty sure it is fitted. It's quite fitted, I think. And I wanted it to be a little looser, so I worked it up in a 4, and also a little longer. So I stayed with the small size, but I worked it up in a 4. Well, I am working it up in a 4. So that's another one of my my own way, I guess, of participating in the celebration of National Hispanic Heritage Month. I just decided my daughter has so many patterns out there, and I have rarely made them. Let me just sit down and try and make one. So that is going well. A lot of plans on the horizon, And there's one particular one that I want to take the chance to share with you as I'm a little bit running out of time here. But I don't know if there were many things happening over the time that we've been separated. Just recently, I don't know if you follow Vogue Knitting Live, but this year in particular, they were going virtual, and they had participation of a panel with crochet designers from the UK, but it was hosted by Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast, that if you follow Claudia and watch her podcast, you'll know that she's from California. She is Hispanic, but she is from California. And she was the master of ceremonies, I guess so to say. And she invited Faye from the Crochet Circle podcast. She invited Allison from the Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast. She invited Rosina from the Zines and Roger podcast. And she invited the host whose name escapes me right now, as usual. I know I couldn't get them all four of them right. But yes, she is Heather from HG Designs. HG Designs Crochet. And they all had their particular personalities. And so if you paid for an entrance fee to Vogue Knitting Live, I think it was $3.99, and you could either have access to the live discussion, or like me, I paid and I went in later on when I had the time, and I saw the recorded version, and I enjoyed it very much. And so if you have a chance to do that, it's something that you might, think about it as like paying a ticket to the movies or something like, well, to at a Blockbuster. No more Blockbusters around. Nobody rents videos anymore either. Well, whatever. How about a movie on Amazon or something like that? I'm sure there are tons of movies on Amazon Prime that you can rent for $3.99. So think of it as that, and participate in sharing these great ideas that they were sharing with us on crochet. And the greatest thing that I got from it was the idea that we do not need to compete with knitting. We are a craft in our own, and so we don't always have to be trying to make things that look like they're knit. Crochet looks like crochet. We need to embrace it. So, that through a lot of great ideas and messages in that discussion. So if you had a chance, it would be great if you could go there. So another thing that I recently, just this past week, was thinking about was I have my Instagram channel, as you know. Well, not a channel, but I have my Instagram account. And that account, well, you can connect with other people. And on my feed this week, I saw a post from Rosina of the Zines and Rogers, in which she was announcing that she has an episode up. Her last episode talks only about one of her makes, which I thought was a great idea. I also I can blabber on forever about my makes. I think I should have just maybe that half hour or 15-minute uploads only for the finished object. I think that would be a good idea, actually. But anyway, she was talking about this wonderful cardigan. I think that I keep on coming to the wrong side here. But anyway, she was talking about this wonderful cardigan that she recreated. And I'm going to say recreated, but even though there's a certain amount of design elements in it, because even though she is not the original designer of this, your ideas in terms of color choices, what stitches to use, and how to put it together in crochet are totally hers. Because if you know anything about this, okay, this is the J.W. Anderson cardigan that was created for Harry Styles, and he's worn it a lot in his different events. And so it like went bam, it went boom all over the internet, went virtual, and the designer was so impressed by the amount of people who immediately started to want to recreate that cardigan that he actually published a free pattern. And I probably have it too. He actually published a free pattern for knitting on this garment. Maybe I'll just in the box below I'll put up so I don't babble on too long about this. But anyway, here Rosina in this blog post. Let me finish one idea first, okay? The designer was so flabbergasted by the amount of people that wanted to recreate his design that he decided to collect his ideas and have someone put them in a pattern for him and publish that and free on the internet. So you can actually get the free pattern, but I don't know why I'm saying obviously, but it wasn't knit. That might not have to be obvious, but it was a knit garment, and so he published the instructions for the knit so that you can make a knit garment. And Rosina saw it and she decided that she wanted to make a version in crochet. So in this blog post, she tells us all, anyway, she gives you the measurements of her finished object. She gives you the yarns to use. She shows you the graph of how she joined her colors. She describes and how she joined the squares, how she did the band around the collar, how she made the sleeves, how she made the ribbing. It's all there. It's in a description. It's not in a pattern. So you have to know something about crochet in order to make Rosina's pattern. But I'm getting together during the upcoming days with Clarissa Beth. She wrote, I gave her the idea, and she wrote to Rosina and asked Rosina's permission to have a cal on both of our channels. And following her blog post and following her video recommendations to recreate that cardigan. So if you're up to it, if you're up to a little bit of, let's say, adventure, and without any time constraints or without any pressure, we're just going to go about it little by little. And what's going to happen is that Clarissa Beth and myself are going to Zoom together in these meetings maybe once every month or something like that. And we're going to update you on one of our channels. We're going to update you how our work is going along. Any comments that we have, what we have found difficult, what we have decided to change, what we've decided to keep the same, and all that sort of thing. So this begins in November. I'm thinking November the 4th, which is election day in the United States is the 2nd, so the 3rd, the 4th. They'll give you a break there to get over your emotions. And then the 4th, we are going to come to you with a introductory video where we're going to sit down and look seriously at Rosina's notes and try and figure out some measurements that anybody would need to make this for their own body, and share with you our selection of colors and how we're deciding to recreate these blocks, whether we're going with squares or whether we're going with a continuous color block changes and all that sort of thing. So we're going to share that with you. Hopefully you'll have the strength, the motivation, to come along and follow us on this, and maybe even join in. It's a great stash buster, and so that's why I have included it in this episode. I just want for us to get back to happy again, or happy times, take our minds off all the things that are going on. And there's nothing more better to get your mind off of all the craziness that's going on than to crochet up something in a lot of colors. Now, you know, if you followed me for a while, that I'm not usually that type of person. Using tons of colors and bright colors is in my my work is not a feature. It's not one of my major characteristics, but I feel that I need that. I need to be filled with color at the moment. And so we're going to take a look through our stash. You also know that if I'm not normally into color, my stash is probably not that much full of color. So I might need to really look into this with a closely and carefully. But stay tuned for that, okay? That would be coming up on November 4th. I believe the initial effort is going to appear on Clarissa's channel, although I might come around here to remind you and give you a link to that, but it will be either on Clarissa Beth of the Crochet Cakes podcast channel or on this channel. We don't know if we'll repeat it on both channels because I think that because of our relationship in the past, we share a lot of the public, but it could go on both channels, whatever. So there it is. Think about it. Give it a good think, and you could go and start by reading Rosina's blog post and maybe even looking at her video if you want to get a head start on this. And then we will share our thoughts on all of these initiations into this big project with you on November the 4th. So don't miss out on that, and that will be like my comeback, hopefully. So I hope you have enjoyed what I have shared with you in this morning. I hope it was good to stop by and catch up with me, as good as it is for me to stop by and catch up with you. And so take care, please. In the meantime, COVID is not over. I don't care what anybody says, but we need to take care of ourselves. We need to use our mask. We need to social distance until we are sure that we have either learned how to handle the disease once it's been contracted, what medicines can we take to get over it, or we have a vaccine for it, or one of these things. We need to take care of ourselves, and I believe that. I believe that to the bone, and so I can't exhort you more enough. I can't ask of you to please take care of yourself. Hopefully you are doing well. Hopefully you are keeping your mental health in good control, and hopefully we can be back in the near future. So until I see you again, keep yourself safe, keep yourself happy and healthy, and keep crafting. Bye for now.